In 1997, a noise was picked up by hundreds of listening stations across the Pacific. It was named the bloop. The bloop was an incredibly low frequency and organic in nature. The frequency and pattern of the sound suggested an animal. The only problem was that whatever animal made that sound would have had to be several times larger than a blue whale. It was thought that the bloop was caused by shifting glaciers, but we know better now. I was part of an expedition 700 miles off the coast of Chile. We were locating and tagging local wildlife. Nothing special, we had deep-sea submersibles on hand. I was manning the submersible this time. I launched and sank. A couple hours later, I reached the seafloor and began buzzing around. Typically on the seafloor, you don't see much of anything. It's practically a desert, complete with sand dunes and all, but today I noticed a massive concentration of crabs and other bottom scavengers. It seemed like they were all heading in one specific direction. I requested permission to find out what they were marching to, then followed the trail of crabs and isopods. I followed them for roughly an hour before I came to a trench. This trench was relatively small, nowhere near the size of the Marianas Trench, but it was still massive, about 1.5 miles long and half a mile wide. At the edge of the trench, I saw the crabs and scavengers collecting into clumps around pieces of carrion. Perhaps a whale had died and drifted down here. I went over the edge and into the trench, unprepared for what I would see next. It was massive. It had to be at least 500 feet in length. It was similar to a humpback whale in shape, but its head was rounded, and its mouth was filled with sharp teeth like an orca's. Its side fins had webbed fingers, like some sort of primordial amphibian. The creature had to be some ancient survivor of a bygone era. At least it used to be. The creature itself was not the most terrifying aspect, however. The creature lay on its side. Its eyes were glassy. I could see swarms of crabs and other deep-sea creatures picking at it. As I moved the submersible sideways across the length of the Leviathan, I noticed something that gave me chills. The midsection of the beast was torn almost in half. Marks of what were all too obviously left by teeth of staggering proportions were clearly seen. The scars of a titanic struggle. The creature, as incredibly large as it was, had been killed by something much, much bigger. Now I know that the bloop was not caused by glacier movements. There are creatures out there of biblical proportions. Leviathans in the most literal sense. Only 5% of Earth's oceans have been explored. I fear we are in for a shock at what lies in wait for us when we start exploring the other 95%.